She's something unique to her. So what would that be? Unaccepting? Okay. Okay. So you're Gerald? What's the personality? Okay, so you need to share too. So you can ask him. Yeah, so what do you think? Is she nice?
Oh
Okay, so what do you know about her? Something about.
Did it say something about the...
Class?
Yes.
Pretty good. Give me an oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I heard lots of conversation about physical and personality traits. Can one of the partner pairs share one with us? How about Damien and Jocelyn?
His physical traits is, her physical traits is that she calls people stupid and bad cookers and...
Physical. You said physical, right?
No, physical's
Physicals. Just let's. Okay, Jocelyn, can you help your partner out? What were some of the physical traits you had?
Personality traits that she calls...
You're talking physical right now. We'll come back to the physical. Remember, we had physical traits and personality, okay? Physical looks like on the outside. Yatim, put your hand down, please. Let's look. Let's review quick. Personality is what's inside. Remember, we've done a bunch of these for all our other characters, so kind of remind yourself. So what was a physical trait of this character?
Seems like she, on the outside of physical traits,
You even have a picture.
she has a small head with small eyes, with big hands,
Okay. So those are physical, right?
hairy head.
Okay, how she looks. Courtney, you want to add to that? All of us are looking and listening to Courtney now. Turn.
What I think is her personality is she's like mean and she always has to be right.
Okay.
Because she kept on saying, you're wrong and I was right to everybody.
Did you see how she's citing from the book, where she got that from? that she's using? Okay. All right, we want to get to the end of the book today and get to some partnering, so I'm going to kind of go a little bit quicker. So,
I'm gonna read Ron. Okay, so you guys need to be ready. I gotta see all eyes in the book.
check your partner, make sure your partner is in the right place, and your eyes are tracking where Ms. Medcalf is reading.
Okay, 21, Ron. Ron had curly hair and little feet. I want to play kickball, he said. You can't play, said Terrence. Get out of here, said Dee Dee. Scram, said Jason. I want to play kickball, said Ron. Well, you're not playing, said Terrence. Beat it. Ron stomped across the playground to the hopscotch area. Jenny was playing hopscotch with Lewis. Jenny was on 9. Lewis was still on 4, but it was his turn. I want to play kickball, Ron said. So go play kickball, said Lewis. Terrence won't let me play, said Ron. Lewis walked with Ron to the kickball field. Hey, what about our hopscotch game? Jenny asked. You won, said Lewis. I just beat Lewis in hopscotch, Jenny announced. Leslie, Rondi, and Allison flocked around her and came around her. Hey, Lewis, Damian shouted. Do you want to play kickball? All right, said Lewis. Ron and I will both play. No, said Terrence. Ron isn't playing. Anyone who wants to play can play, said Lewis. No, he can't, said Terrence. It's my ball. It isn't your ball, said Lewis. You gave it to me, said Terrence. I gave it to you to share, said Lewis. If you can't share it, you can't have it. Oh, all right, said Terrence, but I get to pitch. Ron and I will stand everybody, Lewis announced. All right, said Jason, we will kill them. We'll murder them, said Dee Dee. We'll smash them, said Myron. We'll see, said Lewis. Ron pitched and Lewis played the other 8 positions. 20 minutes later, they finally got 3 outs. The score was 21-0. Ron was up first. Infield in, shouted Damien. Everybody stood within 10 feet of home plate. All right, Ron, Lewis shouted, kick it over their heads. Ron kicked the ball only 3.5 feet. Todd picked it up and threw him out. Lewis was up. Everybody ran back to the edge of the outfield. Still, Lewis kicked the ball over their heads for a home run. Everybody ran all the way back in again for Ron's up. He kicked the ball only 2 feet. Dee Dee tagged him out. Lewis kicked another home run. Ron then kicked the ball a foot and tripped over it on the way to first base. 3 outs. Ron and Lewis held the other team to only 5 runs the next inning. That was because the bell rang. Lunch was finally over. Lewis and Ron lost 26-2. Ron had had a wonderful time. The next day, Ron said, I want to play kickball. You can't play, said Terrence. Get out of here, said Jason. Scram, said Dee Dee. I want to play kickball, Ron told Lewis. Lewis walked with him to the kickball field. Ron and I will stand all of you. Everybody liked the teams. Ron pitched the pitch while Lewis played the other 8 positions. They lost 57-2. After the game, Lewis took Ron aside. Listen, Ron, he said, why do you always want to play kickball? You can't kick, you can't field, you can't even run to first base. You just get smashed every game. Hey now, wait a second, said Ron. Don't go blaming it all on me. You're half the team too, you know. And with that, he punched Lewis in the stomach. And he punched a heck of a lot harder than he kicked. Violent.
So Miss Medcalf, can we just, instead of, we're not gonna talk about that character, but just think about it, and then we're gonna go to the next chapter. Okay, we're gonna try, I saw some really good tracking out there, people following along with their fingers, making sure your eyes are following the words as we read. You are reading in your head as we read out loud. Okay, so one thing I'm gonna do now to really make sure that everybody's tracking and staying with us, every now and then I'm just gonna stop reading. And you're gonna pick up where that one sentence. I'm gonna stop and you're gonna read the sentence. Do you think you can do it?
Yes.
Do you think you can be right there, ready to go?
Yes.
At any moment when I stop, you're just gonna keep reading that sentence. Okay, so everybody, so check your partner, make sure they're keeping track and they know exactly where we are. Are you ready? So chapter 22.
This was a fun one.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Everybody, I'm looking to make sure everybody's ready, and I see some books like this. So check your partner. Check your partner, make sure their book is open and they're ready to go. Okay, everybody's looking at your partner, making sure your partner has, not only yourself, but you're making sure your partner is ready to go. Okay, looks good now. Okay, here we go. Chapter 22, the 3 Erics. In Mrs. Jewell's class, there were 3 children named Eric. Eric Fry, Eric Bacon, and Eric Ovens. They were known throughout the school for being fat. Eric Fry sat at this end of the room, Eric Bacon sat in the middle of the room, and Eric Ovens sat at the end of the room. There was a joke around Wayside School that if all 3 Erics were ever at the same end of the room at the same time, the whole school would tip over. Eric Bacon hated jokes like that. That's not surprising. After all, he wasn't even fat. In fact, he was the skinniest kid in Mrs. Jewell's class. But nobody seemed to notice. The other 2 Erics were fat, and so everyone just thought that all Erics were fat. But I'm not fat, Eric Bacon insisted. What's your name? Asked Jason. Eric, said Eric Bacon. Then you're fat, Jason concluded. Excellent, my turn. Eric Fry really was fat. He was also the best athlete in Mrs. Jewell's class. His body was solid muscle. However, nobody ever noticed. The other 2 Erics weren't very good at sports. Eric Ovens was clumsy. Eric Fatso Bacon was a good athlete for his size, but because he was so skinny, he didn't have much power. So, naturally, everybody just assumed that Eric Fry was also clumsy and weak. After all, his name was Eric. Whenever the other kids chose up teams, Eric Fry was the last one picked. They never noticed his home runs or the fabulous catches he made. Like all great athletes, he made the impossible look easy. Of course, the other kids did notice the one time that he dropped the ball. Eric Fry was playing right field. Terrence belted a deep fly to the left. Your turn.
Eric Fry raced all the way across the field after the ball and at the last second dived at me.
My turn. Okay, next time it's your turn, let's do get it just a little bit louder and clearer, everybody, okay? Back to me. He caught it in midair on his fingertips, but as he hit the ground, the ball squirted loose. Well, what do you expect from Butterfingers, said Stephen. And since that time, Eric Fry has had the nickname Butterfingers. Eric Ovens was the nicest person in Mrs. Jewell's class. He treated everyone equally and always had a kind word to say. But because his name was Eric, everyone thought he was mean. Fatso was mean because everyone called him Fatso. Butterfingers was mean because he always had to play right field. So, naturally, everyone just assumed that Eric Ovens was also mean. They called him Crabapple. Good morning, Allison, said Eric Ovens. How are you? Lay off, Crabapple, will you? Answered Allison. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. Your turn.
Only the Erics had nicknames. It was better that way. Other questions
My turn. One time, all the Erics would answer, and the next time, none of them would answer. But when someone said, hey, Crabapple, then Eric Ovens knew they were talking to him. And if someone said, hey, Butterfingers, Eric Fry knew they meant him. And when someone said, hey, Fatso, Eric Bacon knew that he was being called.
Yeah. Let's just go on to 23 since we're running out of time. Okay? So 23, Allison. Allison had pretty blonde hair and always wore a sky blue windbreaker. Her windbreaker was the same color as her eyes. She was best friends with Rondi. Rondi had blonde hair too, but she was missing her 2 front teeth. Allison had all of her teeth. Allison used to say that she knocked Rondi's teeth out. Allison was very pretty, so all the boys in Mrs. Jewell's class teased her, especially Jason. But Allison said, leave me alone or I'll knock your teeth out, said, like I did Rondi's. The boys didn't bother her after that. One day, Allison brought a tangerine for lunch. She took the peel off in one piece. Miss Mush, the lunch teacher, walked up to her. Allison, may I have your tangerine, she asked. Miss Mush always gave food to the children, so Allison was happy to give her tangerine to Miss Mush. Miss Mush shoved it in her mouth and swallowed it in less than 4 seconds. Allison left the lunchroom and walked down to the library. The lunchroom was on the 15th story. The library was on the 7th. Allison already had her book. She just went to the library because it was nice and quiet there. The librarian walked up to Allison. What are you reading? She asked. Allison told her the name of the book. That sounds like a good book, said the librarian. I've never read that one. May I borrow it? The librarian always lent books to children. Allison was glad to be able to return the favor. She gave the librarian the book, then walked down the stairs, outside to the playground. All of Allison's friends were playing freeze tag. Allison didn't feel like playing. She reached into the pocket of her sky blue windbreaker and took out a tennis ball. She bounced it a couple times on the ground. Lewis came up to her. Hi, Allison, he said. May I play with your tennis ball? Lewis always gave balls to the children. Allison happily gave her ball to Lewis. Lewis threw the ball all the way to the other side of the playground. Then he went chasing after it. Allison didn't feel like doing anything. Jason ran up and tagged her. You're frozen, he said. Get out of here before I knock your teeth out, said Allison. Jason shrugged his shoulders and left. Allison went back inside and up the 30 flights of stairs to Miss Jewell's room. The lunch period wasn't over yet, but Allison didn't feel like doing anything else. She had given her food to the lunch teacher, her book to the librarian, and her ball to the art teacher. She went inside to her classroom. Mrs. Jewells was there. Oh, Allison, I'm glad you're here, said Mrs. Jewells. I'm having trouble with the arithmetic problem. Maybe you can help. Sure, said Allison. Mrs. Jewells always helped the children with their problems. Allison was happy to help. How do you spell chair? Said Mrs. Jewells. C-H-A-I-R, said Allison. Yeah, that's right, said Mrs. Jewells. I knew it wasn't C-H-A-R-E, but I couldn't remember what it was. That's not an arithmetic problem, said Allison. That's spelling. Yes, you were right again, said Miss Jules. I always get the two mixed up. The bell rang. The lunch period was over. Allison could hear the other children running up the stairs. Allison, said Mrs. Jules, you learned a very important secret today, and I don't want you to tell any of the other children, not even Rondi. What was that? Asked Allison. She didn't even know she had learned a secret. She loved secrets. You learned that children are really smarter than their teachers, said Mrs. Jules. Oh, that's no secret, said Allison. Everybody knows that.
Hold on, boys and girls. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, boys and girls. We've been reading a bit aloud and choral reading together. Now we want to give you an opportunity. We're going to go out to the classroom and we're going to do partner reading. You're going to stick with your partners, and there's one group of you that's 3, so you'll take turns every third. Okay, but before we do that, we want to do a quick review of what partner reading looks like. So we're going to write that down here, and then you're going to go, Yafim, can you hang on? We might answer your question by what we're doing. So we're going to quickly review, and you're going to help us what partner reading looks like. Exactly what it should look like and what it should sound like. Okay? And then we're going to go and read chapter 24 and 25 with your partner. Okay, still have a question, Yafim? Yeah.
It's not a question to go on.
Okay, well, we're going to go over it. So let's see, we'll have you help us out here, okay? So, first of all, who can tell us, we'll talk about what it looks like. What do you look like? What are those, we've talked about some key things. Actually, turn to your partner quick and tell them, what does it look like and what does it sound like? Okay, so it's not looking like it should. You guys are comfortable? What else?
I forgot how to say it. Imaginary.
So if Courtney told you, then you should have a pretty good idea what it is.
That's a question I just said. Yeah, and you ask questions about it. You say more examples, details,
Oh, you kind of question that. We're just talking about partner reading. Okay. All right.
They'll ask you questions that you already know the answer to.
Classity, class.
Yes.
Hands and eyes.
Hands and eyes.
So turn your body, make sure your body's facing this way.
We need all eyes up here. There's a couple of eyes I don't see. Excellent. All eyes are here. Oh, just another person. One more. Excellent. I want to see all those eyes up here. So first we heard lots of good conversation. But remember, we're talking about just the partner read now. We're going to focus on what a partner reading looks like, okay? Because that's what we're going to do right now. So let's really focus on that. So the first thing, a key one, and it's just different letters we use to describe it, right? And see if you remember that in your head. Think about it for a second. Tell us what it is. There's 4 letters. It reminds you what it should look like. You remember? Yoselin?
Elbow, knee, knee.
Excellent. Everybody say it.
elbow, knee, knee.
Excellent. That's a key. Just like you are right now. Oops. Almost all of us. Okay, let's get our bodies the way they, right now you're with your partner, so what does it look like? And we call that E-E-K-K, right? Eek, right? All we have to say is eek, and you remember to get yourself in position. Okay? What else do we know about it? Who can share? You got one now? You say it again? Yeah. So everybody show me that finger. Okay? We are following, so essential. We are following, hands down now please. Hands down. I like that you all know. That finger is following. Is it only when you're reading that that finger is moving?
No.
It's all the time. So at any point you know exactly, your eyes are reading at the same time. Okay, and if your partner gets stuck, do you immediately give them the word?
No.
No, you give them, that's, what should we say, 5 seconds to think
5
and
seconds is good.
try and break up that word? Okay, so tracking, follow finger. We call it tracking or follow finger. Okay, so that's what we should see. Those fingers all moving. Okay, what else? Yafim?
Like like ask her fun questions, like.
Ask for fun.
Well, and we've talked about that a lot when we're doing some partnering.
Yes.
Asking
yeah.
questions to kind of get people, and that's what we were doing here on the rug,
Yes.
kind of, if someone isn't sharing, you ask questions to get things, to help them get things coming
Yes.
out and thinking. But in this case, we're just gonna read. So for the partner read, we don't need to be asking questions, but sometimes when we partner, we do need to ask questions. Good remembering that. Okay, something else, Autumn.
And don't ask questions that you already know the
Okay,
answer to.
yeah, but right now we're talking about the things we should do. What do we do? What does it look like when we partner read?
Listen.
You're listening, you look like you're listening. So what does that look like? Your mouth, when you're not reading, your mouth is, okay, so you're quiet when your partner is reading, and you're listening carefully to them. We're tracking with their finger. Okay, and we didn't write this, but you kind of mentioned it. Both of you have your eyes looking, and that fix in follow and tracking. You're always tracking whether you're the reader or not. So what does that mean, Anthony? What are your eyes doing all the time? And what does that mean when I say tracking? They're doing what with the words? You were just doing it when we were reading aloud. You're always following along. Your eyes are on the word that your partner is reading, okay? And then we said wait 5 seconds, track, and then when do we switch off?
After a paragraph.
Arturo, when do we switch off?
Paragraph or sentence.
Right, and in this case, we're going to say every paragraph. And how do you know when it's a new paragraph, Arturo? Can you take your hand away from your mouth? It's an indent. Everybody knows what an indent is?
Yes.
A little space it goes in, okay? All right. So we're just about ready. So we all know what this looks like. We're going to read these. Dave, you got one to share?
They always stay on topic.
Yeah, just stay focus on what we're doing. All these things kind of tell that. So let's read what it looks like all together. Okay, we're going to point, you're going to read all together. So your book is down now, Anthony. You don't need to be reading your book. All books are down. Okay, because your eyes are going to read this. All eyes are here. Okay, this is what partner reading looks like. Let's hear everybody so we know for sure you know what to do. Ready? Go.
Sit.
Well, let's say okay?
Follow finger, reader and a listener. Eyes in book, moving. Switch every paragraph.
Got it? Thumbs up? Everybody knows what to do? Excellent. Okay, so now we're quickly going to say what it sounds like. Okay, just what your voice level should sound like. Can anybody, because there's a lot of us in the room, what should this sound like? Who haven't I heard from yet? Somebody I haven't. How about Darcy in the back? What should it sound like when we're partner reading? What should our voice level sound like? Should it be really loud, like I'm talking now? What voice level should we have? 0? The listener. A listener is a 0, right? The listener is a 0, and the reader is a 1 or 2. Loud enough so your partner can hear, but not so loud that it's disturbing the other readers. Okay? So we got to kind of moderate that voice, and your partner, you can remind each other. You can say, I can't hear you. Can you do that a little bit louder? So you can let your partner know. In a nice way. We want to speak nicely and encouragingly to our partners. So did we cover everything? Is anybody, think for a minute. Is there anything we forgot to put here that we need to do when we partner read? Think about it. Oh, I just thought of something. I'll give you a hint. When you sit down, hands down a second. When you sit down and you're ready to read, how do we get started? Do we both just
Look at their eyes.
say that again?
Look at their eyes.
What would that be? Davion.
Be still.
Kind of keep your body still. Yeah, we don't want to be
You
like.
have to make those sounds when we're talking on the table.
Oh, that's a good one. So keep your bodies and sound still. Okay. Hands down, Emily.
Put your finger to the first place of your mouth.
Okay, but how are we going to figure out? Are we both going to start reading at the same time?
No.
Oh, hands down, hands down. Hands down, please. Hands down. I'm just going to call on somebody. Anthony, what are we we do, when you two sit, when you and Courtney sit down, are you both just gonna start reading together? What are you gonna do? It's the first thing you have to decide after you're situated. You two are sitting down, ready to read. Can you whisper to him?
Do rock, paper, scissors.
Hmm? Oh, so why do you do rock, paper, scissors though? Why do you do, oh, my hand's down, Anthony's gonna tell us. You think about it, Anthony's gonna tell us. Why do we do rock, paper, scissors? To figure out what are we figuring out when we do rock, paper, scissors?
First.
Did everybody hear him?
No.
Yeah.
Hold on. I heard some notes. Can you tell them what you just said? We have to find out who, look at everybody. Can you? We're gonna find out who's going to go first. You don't, I'll wait. Bodies, hands. We're gonna be going out and sharing in just a minute. We're going to figure out who's gonna go first. And we're gonna do that in a nice, kind way. And one way they've decided, Courtney and Anthony, is rock, paper, scissors. We can also do it much more quickly and just say, who would like to go first to get started? Okay, you decide in a nice way. Darcy, you can figure it out when you get to your partner. Okay? All right, so we want to get started because we want to have time. So we're thinking, and I see Ms. Medcalf crossing out rock, paper, scissors because that takes some of our time away from reading. And we don't want to take time away from reading. We want to use every minute we have. So you just sit down with your partner and say, do you want to go first? You just decide quickly together. It's not, you're both going to read a lot, so it's just to get you started, you just got to make a quick decision. Okay? All right, so we're going to spread ourselves out. Hold on, don't move yet. We're going to spread ourselves out anywhere in this room. Now, would you want to sit right, would you want to be like this right now, this close to each other? No, so make good decisions about where would be a good spot to sit so that you can hear your partner but not be too disturbed by the other people. Okay, so should we just let everybody find a spot?
So let's just review what we're going to be doing, Elizabeth. So right now, we're on chapter 24.
Oh, I didn't say how many chapters.
So we're partner reading every other paragraph. Chapter 24, 25.
And let's see how, and then we'll check in. And we'll check in when we get through to that, okay? And we'll see where we're at. Because we want to get to the activity we were talking about today, we're hoping.
If not.
Yeah, if we don't, we can do it next week, okay?
All right? Go.
So, everybody knows 24 and 25.
Okay.
Don't go past there unless you check with us. Quickly, find your
No
father here.
pictures, no questions, no vocab. Just reading.
Just reading now. Quickly, let's transition.
15 seconds. 10 seconds.
So, this doesn't look like elbow. You're together with him?
No.
Oh, okay. So you put elbow to elbow meeting?
4,
Well, you don't have to touch it, but you're kind of looking like that. Okay.
2,
Okay, so we don't need to get on the chair. Get yourself ready. Look open, ready to go. Is that going to work? Hopefully, if you can be able to. Okay, nice getting started. Nice getting started. Excellent getting started. Excellent job getting And I'm not going to show you the street. It might be better to do it in the morning because you're kind of all spread out. I just think this is pretty good.
reading first.
Just because Go over here, Ted. I'm asking them to come read here.
Oh, I thought you.
No, I was asking. Because he's like here and she's doing a read. I just said, let's go where we can be closer, that's all. Okay? Just a better way to situate themselves. Just choose your Now, go behind you. Yeah, come over here. The whole reason I moved is because if he was making anything, I would be okay, so I'm gonna sit here.
The way back over, I don't use crab apple. Maybe that.
That's why we try to
I'm sorry I'm late to school, but my father motorcycle last night. Then we were the room was unfortunately at the moment, Louis walked into the room. You took this one. Thanks for the class. Yes. I want everybody to write something to say. I'm 9 years old, catching up on my spelling. Open her desk, take out
Here it is.
I'm sorry I'm late. But my father looks like he was late. It was at 9 o'clock. It was almost 1:30. She kissed me on the He had a black body bag she was Jules. I'm sorry I'm late. We both stopped at I know we both stopped at what? It sounds like it was Johnny jumped out. Oh, I know. Get back in your seat. My friend said, so much better. She washed her He had black mask that should be matching, get back. What's your name? Yes, Jenny. He wrote something. Jenny, piece of paper. Tell me something, Jennifer. When you came to school today, Sunny was here. I said, Jenny had from a good black mustache, that she attached case. John very spicy. This is a man that I know or see. What she claims from the first man. She thinks she was the worst man, and she said she was Lindsay, and she got there and was there asking me with the the ball management. One had black masters, the first man, the upper man. Okay, said the first man. Jenny was. Jenny said it too. Jenny was. She had a band called Just Turn Around. Yes, she was very proud. She claimed. Oh, I read it. You read it the same time. What to do? All kinds of questions.
Class?
Yes, yes.
Stop where you're at. It's okay if you didn't quite finish yet. We're just gonna go over something real quick and we'll be able to finish what we were reading on Monday. Okay? So go ahead and bring your books to the carpet. Okay. Quickly. Sitting by your partner. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we read which two characters? Who can tell me? I'm just going to call on someone. Which two characters did we read on? Kayla, what was one of the characters?
We read.
Yeah.
Sam.
Today, during partner reading.
I read it.
Sit down.
This was our partners.
Yeah, just go.
Daniel.
Damien. Okay, we read Damien and some of us got to what, Emily? Who was the other one we read?
We read.
Okay, so who was 25? Hands down, I'm asking Emily. Hands down. Jenny. Okay, so Damien. Who can tell me something about Damien? Actually, let's think for a second. Either a physical or personality trait of Damien. Think time, think time. When I say go, you're going to turn to your partner and you're going to tell them what you thought about Damien. What did he look like? And what was his personality like? Arturo, do you understand? Yeah. Okay. Teach. Okay. Oh. Okay, tell me one thing about Damien Trinity.
He had He had hazel eyes with one dark dot and the other orange.
Hazel eyes, which is like a brown.
Oh,
One
yes,
black
I thought it was a blue.
dot. This looks like brown. Okay, one more thing about him. Arturo, do you remember anything about Damien?
He had something right here.
Get something right here.
Dog.
A dot. Can you elaborate on that, Ethan?
Yes. It's a pupil or something like that.
Oh,
He's a pupil.
Yeah,
What is a pupil?
A pupil, I think he has like a red dot.
Not a pimple.
Yeah.
That's a pimple.
Actually,
So you know what? Hands down. This is a good moment because a lot of people came to that word. And so you have to look at the sentence and the context clues within it. It says, he was a pupil in Miss Jewel's class. What does that sound like? If he's a pupil in her class, that kind of sounds like what, Davion?
A student.
A student. Okay, so you use the context in which it's at to figure out the word. Okay? Okay, we don't get to Jenny because we're running out of time, so, eyes on me. If you have your folder, you need to return that to the bin. If you have a book, stack them on the bookshelf.
Nobody move yet. Nobody move yet. Ms. Medcalf, when you're done, I just want to add one thing, so.
And pencils, and then Miss Goodman.
When we finish?
Yep.
Okay. I just want to say, when you went out to do partner reading, Mrs. Medcalf and I were really observing a lot of good partner reading. By that we mean you followed all those things we talked. There was tracking, there was listening, there was the right level of voices. Everybody was on task, reading, focusing, helping each other. You got right to it. I was amazed at how quickly you got to it. We said just make a decision, and boy, before I could even get to you to see how you were doing, you were all busy reading. So excellent work. Give yourselves a pat on the back for that. And when you work hard like that, you know who benefits. You do. You just keep getting to be better and better readers, right? So excellent working. Really well done.
Okay, Courtney.
That's about 1,000.
Yes. You guys may do what you need to do and line up.